A Nascent Kaleidoscope. Chapter 76. There was a rather awkward silence that filled the room. I was sitting on her sofa, and she sat in a chair nearby. To make it even worse, there was an unconscious little girl next to me, the missing little kitsune. Her 9 tails moved ever so slightly with her breathing. I feel like an idiot not realizing who Izzy was before. I mean, it was staring at me right in the face. Looking up at Izzy, Izanami. She looked away the moment our eyes met. So, Izanami. I finally spoke. The silence was starting to grate on me. Her head snapped towards me, wanting to say something, but she held herself back. I apologize for hiding my identity, she said quietly. Okay. She paused, looking at me in surprise. You aren't angry, or? Did you think I would be? I questioned here. I'm not going to get angry for you hiding your true name. I rolled my eyes. Izzy, I intentionally used her fake name. Are you not the same person I was spending time with? What exactly changed between then and now? Is it really that simple to you? She looked at me in shock. I am Izanami no Makoto, goddess of death, she who beckons. I have committed heinous sins in my life. The world curses my very existence. Literally the son of Satan over here. I deadpanned. It is not the same, and you know it. She pursed her lips, crossing her arms in annoyance. I am condemned by the very land I helped create. Yeah, that's not fair. I sighed, thinking about what she's been through. She wasn't lying about her sins, if the stories are anything to go by. But at this moment, I don't see that hateful goddess portrayed in myths and legends. All I see is a lonely woman who misses her family. Should I call you Mother Izanami? I smiled towards her. She was Japan's mother goddess. Why you? She actually looked bashful at the words. Don't tease me, she added on quietly. I couldn't help but chuckle at her reaction. Definitely going to call her that in the future. I'm not upset, Izzy, I said gently. I am surprised and more annoyed at myself for not realizing. But I don't have the faintest negative perception of you right now. It could be a ruse, a plan to trick you into this place, for you to never leave. Aren't you supposed to trick me into consuming something of this place, so I would be forever bound? I raised an eyebrow. That myth regarding Persephone and Hades did have some kernels of truth to it. My lips curled up as I saw her huff. Now that I think about it, aren't you supposed to be stuck here? She scoffed. I am a goddess. Do you think a rock can keep me sealed for that long? Makes sense. I wonder if any other deities know she gets up and walks around the surface whenever she wants. I just shrugged. Well, regardless, you are my friend and I don't care who you are. And what a funny thought that is right now. I somehow became friends with Izanami. Unless you don't want to be anymore. She actually tensed up at my words, clearly unsettled by my implication. I enjoy our time spent together. She squeezed out. Well, then nothing else needs to be said. I clapped my hands. So, what's the issue with little fox over here? I don't think she knew how to respond to my dismissal of her status, but she seemed willing to shift the conversation. You are more than familiar with those miscreants that caused chaos in the city not that long ago? Tamamo-no-me cult? Yes. She rolled her eyes. Those idiots did not stop their initial attempts. Apparently they had a few backup plans in place in case of failure. How they managed to actually devise a strategy of that level I can't fathom, because they certainly do not seem to possess the modicum of intelligence needed for that small amount of forward thinking. Ouch. Yeah, they didn't seem too bright. Perhaps they managed to find a child to poke holes in their elaborate schemes. I actually don't know more than the bare basics. I scratched the back of my head. Honestly, I've been keeping myself out of that whole mess. Izanami looked embarrassed. I guess she must have thought she was dragging me into this against my wills, but I was more than willing to help her too. They were trying to use a ritual to resurrect Tamamo-no-me using another 9-tailed fox. Izanami gestured towards the sleeping little kitsune. Once the connected to Yomi was made, I saw what was happening, and I took exception. Tamamo-no-me is actually an aspect of Amaterasu, practically her daughter. I dare not ask what the relationship is like there, because she seems really distant with the concept. Curious. I tapped my chin, thinking about the course of actions. If I had to guess, they were trying to create a symbolic link due to heritage, then drag out Tamamo-no-me's soul use the kid's body as a catalyst to revitalize the dead spirit's flesh with her own essence. That is frighteningly close to what was happening. She seemed mildly surprised by my insight. There is only one issue that remained, though. She feels of death, but isn't actually dead, I said, staring at the little girl. Yes, Izanami said quietly. She was invaded by the power of Yomi, her soul. It was touched by this realm. I'm doing what I can to keep any more from seeping into her, but it is already acting like poison. And you can't simply remove or cleanse it? I asked. She was also a goddess of creation. I can, if I didn't care about her continued existence. Izanami replied. I am Yomi. Anything I try to do inside of her will leave more traces of me, and the same issues will persist. Like trying to put out a fire with more fire. You understand? She nodded. That is why I required outside help. Outside help am I? And here I thought we were friends. That's not what I meant. She pouted, and it was cute. I couldn't help but tease her. I sighed, thinking about the headache this would be. I understand why you couldn't simply drop her off at her mother's now. I said idly. Yeah, quite a few comments she made started to make more sense. Oh gods, I gave her advice on how to deal with her godly children. Her youngest is Susanoo. Izanami looked away, a sad smile on her face. I have not seen my daughter for many years. I don't want our reunion to be her assuming I schemed against her Miko. The fact that Amaterasu would probably not listen to reason and assume the worst of Izzy was left unsaid. It would most definitely cause more issues than it solves. Well, you're in luck. I am perhaps one of the most knowledgeable magicians in the world. Aren't you barely an adult? Irrelevant. I waved her off. I think it is very relevant. I ignored her and turned towards the little kitsune. The immediate solution was perhaps to use a healing spell. My hand ignited with that familiar white light as I raised it over the little girl. Her pale face turned slightly healthier, but I could tell she wasn't actually getting better. No, the infection still remained. A normal healing spell won't do anything. I didn't really expect it to, but I wasn't to see the extent of damage. Perhaps a sealing, gathering it all up, seal it in a corner of her body for later purification. Any sealing spell would be eroded within hours. Izanami added. Yeah, this stuff is very corrosive. It isn't merely deathly energy mixed in, it's like a combination of death and necrotic power. I murmured, stroking my chin. There is a difference between the two. Death is a natural state of being, the end result for everything. Necrotic energies are unnatural, they twist life energies and propagate through corruption. While both are antithetical to continue living, combing them makes matters severalfold worse. If you continue to keep her steady, how long do you think before she crosses the point of no return? Several hours at the most. She answered without a second thought. And there wasn't much we could do to slow that down. Even sealing it away for a few hours may have an adverse effect when the energies break free. Yeah, it would buy some time, but the energies might rampage when they finally break out, causing more damage before settling down, essentially accelerating the process. I suddenly had a thought. I may have a solution, but I require something from you. She tilted her head. What do you need? Permission to bring someone in here and help me. I'm close to someone who can most likely heal her fully. That's it, she questioned. And would they be comfortable coming here? Actually, I'm sure she would love to meet you. I want her to meet all my friends, actually. I couldn't help but smiled at her. I see. She looked rather unsure of herself, but she relented. I will not block you from bringing someone to aid me. I held back the urge to give her a hug. I don't know why it made me feel bad seeing her like that, but we weren't really close enough for something that intimate. But still, I wanted to cheer her up. Would you like to hold Sir Wiggles while I'm gone? She looked at me, holding back an eager expression. Yes. I chuckled, flipping my hat off and allowing my familiar hop on out. I mentally sent him my feelings, telling him to watch over Izzy while I go run an errand. He happily hopped into her lap, allowing her to dote on him. Spoiled little rabbit. Well, I'm glad he doesn't feel intimidated by her anymore. Even this realm seemed not to bother him as long as he was nearby one of us. I can open up Yomi to almost anywhere in Japan. Where do you need to go? No worries, I got this. I waved her off, bringing out Mirage. What are you? I slashed my sword, creating a portal back home. I gave one last look over at Izzy. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Yeah, if even Meridia was surprised that I could do this, I can only imagine Izzy will be too. I gave her a wink, jumping through. Let's just hope Artoria still has Avalon on her. Chapter 77. My home world appeared before my eyes. The familiar magical energy in the air told me exactly where I was. There was something one learned with traveling to other worlds. Each one had its own taste, so to speak. A flavor that was hard to describe unless you actually experienced it for yourself. I shook my head. That small bit of lightheadedness that appeared for the briefest moments when you jumped from different levels of magical energy. The familiar walls around me came more into focus, and I stepped out of my room at Zelretch's workshop. I did hear someone, exactly the person I was looking for. I saw her standing on her tiptoes trying to reach something in a high cabinet. Need a hand? I asked, seeing her head snap towards me, her body reeling back like she was doing something she wasn't supposed. Wilhelm. Artoria squeaked out. I was just. She cleared her throat. I thought you would be gone for a few more days. Zelretch said you were dealing with something in another world. Yeah, something came up and I need help. I sighed, walking close to her. I saw her look rather shy as I inspected what she was trying to grab. Our eyes met, and she looked away with a small blush on her cheeks. I couldn't help but chuckle, reaching up and grabbing the box of cookies down for her. I think I heard a small thank you out from under her breath. God, she's so cute. She held the box to her chest. I could tell she wanted to get into them right away, but she held back. What did you need help with? Actually, I scratched the back of my head. I need your help specifically. I would be more than happy to lend you assistance. She smiled at me, a genuine way I could tell she meant it. Would it be prying if I asked if you currently possessed Avalon? She blinked at me for a moment. You wish to know if I currently possess my sheath? She reiterated. Am I to assume that someone requires healing? Yeah, a little girl. Avalon is quite the powerful noble phantasm. It provided Artoria with a form of immortality as long as she possessed it, her brain being her only weakness. Rumors were that it could even regrow a heart if it got destroyed, but I don't quite know about that. I see. She nodded. I do indeed have my sheath on me, and it is my duty as a knight to aid those in need. Thank you. I let out a long breath. Honestly, I didn't know what I would do if this didn't work out. She smiled at me. I will never turn down the opportunity to save innocent lives. And I admit I find this part of you trying to help others to be endearing. She added on quietly, turn her eyes away for a moment. Though I suspect there is more to this if you need the help of my noble phantasm. I winced slightly. What do you know of Yomi? The realm of the dead in Japan. She tilted her head, almost speaking to herself. The realm of Izanami no Makoto, goddess of death. She practically recited the words out of her memories. So, said goddess is my friend. She's the one asking me for help. I decided to just be blunt about it. Artoria just had her eyes widen, staring at me, unable to find the correct words for several moments. I do not know how to respond to that. I could only laugh awkwardly at her statement. Yeah, it kinda just happened. Honestly, I didn't even know she was a Izanami when we first met. Kinda revealed herself when this little girl basically got dropped into her lap, and the energies of Yomi are invading her body and soul. I see. She furrowed her brow. This is a strange request. Well, I can pay you in any way you want for your service, or if you want something else, I'm sure. Will! She interrupted me. I merely said it was strange, not that I would not do it. She said gently, placing a hand on my arm. I trust you. I do not think you would lead me into a precarious situation without at least informing me ahead of time. Oh, and suddenly I felt much more at ease and my heart was beating slightly faster. That is true. For both informing her and leading her into precarious situations, she can handle herself. She doesn't need for me to treat her like a damsel in distress, unless she wants to be. And, as your girlfriend, I wish to meet someone you call a friend. She added, her cheeks a fresh tint of pink. I guess we did become boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, it's obvious. It's that we never put a name on it until now. Did I ever tell you how amazing you are? She made a small noise in embarrassment. Time is of the essence here. Is it okay to leave immediately, or do you need some time to prepare? Rin and the Wizard Marshal are currently working on something. She looked uncertain. I knew she took her duties to being Rin's servant very seriously. I can time it so regardless you'll be back within the next couple hours. I pointed out. Oh, then I believe we should make haste. I held out my hand. Well then, shall we? She took it without any hesitation, that bright smile on her face as I opened a new portal and led her through. Artoria held my hand much tighter as we stepped through the portal. I think regardless of everything, she was a little bit nervous. I have shared my birth world with her in the past. She knew that divine beings still persisted here, that magic and such was known by a much wider community, but to experience it was a whole different matter. Wilhelm. Izzy's voice called out. She stood up from her seat to greet us. And this is? She asked, looking at Artoria. Greetings, Lady Izanami. Artoria, with the expertise she developed in life, immediately slipped into her regal persona, almost as if judging the woman in front of her. I am Artoria Pendragon, Will's girlfriend. I was mildly surprised she provided her true name, but I guess it didn't really matter across worlds. A member of the Pendragon clan? I only heard the vaguest things about them in the Western world. She muttered. Yes, you do look like the heir I've seen a picture of. Artoria, to her credit, kept her expression extremely neutral, merely shooting me a look, and I could only convey that I would explain later with my eyes. Izanami's eyes narrowed, practically drilling into Artoria, like she saw something that interested her. You are not a living being, or rather, you are but are not, how strange. A living spirit, is that not a paradox? Artoria didn't react. It is as you say. She merely confirmed Izanami's views without adding anything. There was a strange atmosphere between them. I didn't quite know how to explain it, like both of them were sizing each other up. Weird. Ladies! I interjected, their heads snapped to me. The girl! Yes, of course. Izanami turned away, looking towards the little kitsune on the couch. I have managed to keep the worst of it away, but still, some enters her body and lingers. Yeah, I knew exactly what she was talking about. This place was almost like an infection. It kept trying to grab me. I could keep it off with ease, but the same couldn't be said about this little unconscious girl. I see, and this is the one you wish me to heal? Artoria walked forward, placing her hand gently on the yokai's forehead. She is not human, she said quietly, not any kind of accusation, but more of a mild surprise. Even with the obvious non-human features, I think it was more just the incredulity of it. For her, phantasmal species were something extremely rare, and to see one so blatantly laying about must have been quite the cultural shock. Will that be an issue? Honestly, the thought never crossed my mind. It shouldn't be. Artoria shook her head. How exactly do you plan on healing her? Izanami crossed her arms, staring at Artoria. Artoria's lips twitched as she kept herself even. She pushed against her own chest. A bright light suddenly filled the room, bursting out in every direction. The vicious energies of this realm practically fled away from it. With this, she replied, and I felt like I could make out the vaguest amount of smugness in her voice. What is? Izanami held her breath, drinking in the holy light. It is beautiful. Artoria placed it on the little kitsune's chest, the holy energies enveloping her, attacking and consuming all deathly and necrotic power that had seeped into her body and soul. Avalon, the hallowed scabbard of Excalibur, Artoria said, peeking over at Izanami like she was gauging her reaction. I was surprised she was being so forthcoming. Excalibur's scabbard? Izanami repeated. Why is the scabbard so much stronger than that broken sword? She said in a confused voice. Broken? Artoria's voice raised slightly, an audible reaction on her face. Oof, I knew I was forgetting something. You sound as if that is something new to you. Izanami's eyes narrowed. How could you possibly not know that? Are you really one of the Pendragon clan? Izanami's eyes began to glow. Now that I take a closer look, you are much older than you appear, and you are not a normal spirit. You are nothing like I have ever seen before, almost reminiscent of those Einherjar that the Norse keep, but even that pales in comparison. What are you? She slowly raised her hand. Artoria frowned. I could feel her ready to fight at a moment's notice. Izzy, I said gently, grabbing her attention. She looked at her hands. They were glowing slightly, and she quickly dismissed whatever power she was drawing upon. I am sorry. She took a step back, looking rather skittish. I'm not used to speaking with others, and I believe I overreacted. I shall wait in another room while you finish up. She turned to away, but another voice rang out. I just sighed. Wait, Artoria called out, glancing at me. Izanami halted her steps, turning back. How about we start over? Artoria also pulled back her battle sense, her combat focus, and became almost docile again. I am Artoria, Pendragon. It is a pleasure to meet Will's friend. Izanami hesitated, clearly unsure. I am Izanami. It is nice to meet you, Miss Pendragon. Chapter 78. There were no more power spikes, no divine authority being called upon, and no noble phantasms being swung around, so things were going okay. I was glad that Artoria and Izanami were getting along now. Frankly, I don't really know what happened earlier. They were sort of antagonistic when they first met. Now, though, they were happily chatting. I saw them out of the corner of my eye in the kitchen, and every so often they would look my way and giggle to themselves. I felt a disturbance in the force. I could only imagine what would happen with my girls meet each other. Well, at least Sir Wiggles was keeping them midly distracted. Good job, Sir Wiggles. I even reinforced my ears to ease to make sure nothing was wrong. Yes, he is a very good boy. Izanami held Sir Wiggled in her arms as Artoria cooed over the small animal. He is a good companion. Izanami nodded. So smart, yes you are. She gently rubbed his head. I couldn't help but smile, even under the awkward spot I was in. Well, Artoria put the sheath inside of the little kitsune girl to further purge her body of all that corruption. She got noticeably better in the time frame, her face now flushed with color instead of a pale, deathly state. Only, she seemed to latch onto me. I don't know why, but when I went to check on her, she quite literally grabbed onto me and wouldn't let go. To be honest, I couldn't even bring forth the effort to pull myself away because... Daddy, she said quietly, pushing her head into my stomach, headbutting me every so often, like she was trying to grab my attention. That, Izanami and Artoria just looked at me in amusement, content to not even help me. I was on my own here, and I had no idea how to handle this. She wasn't even conscious. She sounded so scared, tightly grabbing onto me. There was a large part of me that felt something deep down. Sympathy. I don't know, but I couldn't stop myself from reacting. Sure, I quietly whispered, running my hand through her hair. Daddy is here. You don't have to be scared anymore. No idea what I said thing. It was like my protective instincts were on overdrive. I hummed a song my mother used to sing to me when I was a bit younger than her, trying to calm her down. I have no idea what she actually went through. She must have been absolutely frightened. To suffer such a thing, to be made a living sacrifice. An instinctual response, I have no idea. Now that I think about it, I only heard about a mother, no father. Perhaps it was something she held back in her heart? Regardless, even if she is a nine-tailed fox, she is but a child. This event most likely traumatized her severely. If I could offer this small amount of comfort, then so be it. She just curled up into me more, just as a fox would. Practically a small ball of fluff in humanoid form. This was something I didn't realize I wanted so much. A family? Children? Something just like this. I've played with the idea of Meridia running around with our children. Perhaps the thought was premature at this point, but I couldn't help but feel warm from the picture. Scat-Hack too. Would she ever want children? Scat-Hack being a mother. I don't know why I found the idea equal parts humorous and heartwarming. And Artoria, I couldn't help but glance up to her. She didn't notice me, but I looked away with a small amount of embarrassment. That was certainly much too early to think about. I don't know. My own feelings were all over the place. But for now, I just wanted to make sure this child wasn't scared any longer. You are surprisingly good at that, Izanami commented. Do foxes purr? Because I could vaguely feel something vibrate from her body, like a content noise. Am I? I really have no idea what I'm doing. Most parents don't. Since when am I a parent? I raised an eyebrow. Since she started called you Daddy, Dad. Izanami curled her lips sus, finding amusement in my suffering. Once the girl was out of danger, the mood had relaxed substantially. Is it weird how I want to destroy anything that makes this little girl sad now? Have I randomly latched onto her so easily? What an odd sensation. At the rate you are going, children may be inevitable in your future. Artoria gave a small smile, taking a quick glance towards Izanami. Was there some kind of inside joke between the two of them that I was unaware of? Oh, yes. Artoria here has been telling me about your other paramours. Izanami smirked. So young, and you already have a harem? Ah, that's what they've been talking about when I wasn't paying attention. Well, I'm glad Artoria is on good terms with Izanami, even if it is at my own expense. I'm sure Izanami had been filling in some of the gaps in knowledge that Artoria has regarding devils. Joy. I don't think it's technically a harem if I haven't slept with anyone before. I pointed out. Wait, really? Izanami looked at me in surprise. Is that really so hard to believe? I rolled my eyes. Yes. Artoria looked at me with a small grin on her face, finding this whole thing funny. A devil, and a young devil at that. Izanami looked skeptical. Racist. Oh, shush you. Izzy smiled. How is the child? I think all the nasty stuff is gone. I smiled lightly, running my hand through her hair again. You can probably take back your sheath now, Artoria. With a nod, the knight walked over, gently placing a hand on her and pulling out the conceptual armament. The little kitsune shuddered slightly, and I felt her grab just a tad tighter. Amazing, Izzy commented. I can't even sense the smallest inkling of Yomi's power inside of her any longer. What a powerful sheath you possess. Of course. Artoria seemed happy to receive the praise, and it wasn't veiled with prodding this time. It is the embodiment of humanity's desire for utopia. I could tell that Izanami was holding herself back. Perhaps if this was her many centuries ago, she would have simply forced out any answer she desired, but at this moment, she was not pushing it. I would advise you not to broadcast your possession of such a thing. Izanami looked a small bit concerned. The church would probably stop at nothing to acquire it. I thought out loud. Not just that institution. Izanami shook her head. There are many beings, even divine, who would wish to have that thing. Artoria smiled brightly. Thank you for your concern. I have confidence to keep it away from those who wish malicious intent. She looked over at the goddess. It only works with my magical energy. Stealing it would be pointless. Izanami paused. Regardless, if you ever find yourself in trouble, contact me. I should be able to lend a hand. Thank you. Your kindness is appreciated. Artoria replied, genuine in her words. We should probably get going. I don't think it's fair to make this girl's mother wait any longer. I didn't really want to stop their interaction, but I really wanted to get her back home. As the words left my mouth, Sir Wiggles jumped down where he was sitting, and I held my hat out with one hand for him to jump inside. He seemed to like it. Perhaps I'll connect it to the yard back home, so it acts as more of a portal or something. Yes, of course, Izanami said. I would not like to keep a child away from her mother longer than necessary. I look forward to the next time we can speak. Artoria stated. Next time, Izanami said quietly to herself. I, too, look forward to that. I finally hefted up the little kitsune, her head happily over my shoulder, and I carried her in my arms. I'll get you home first. I told Artoria. Thank you for everything. Izanami said. It was my pleasure to aid you, Izanami. Artoria smiled back towards the goddess of death, who looked genuinely happy. I'm sorry I couldn't stick around longer. I also said my piece. No, the circumstances are understandable. I shall contact you at a later date. We walked out the door. I thought it would be rude to leave from the middle of her home. I'm also sorry for bringing you here, then suddenly shutting you back home. I looked down to Artoria. I understand the situation, and I still enjoyed my time here. Artoria shook her head, staring out into the distance. I did enjoy spending time with Izanami. She looked rather contemplative. I also apologize for how I acted. I started thinking of her exactly like my sister, and certain things suddenly swelled to the surface. Morgan Le Fay. Yeah, I could see it. The King of Knights shook her head. I am happy that we left on good terms, and I would not be remiss to return. I quite enjoyed her company. Yeah, it's almost easy to forget that Izanami is a goddess. She was so happy to sit around and chat with us. I felt almost bad to bring back Sir Wiggles, but I promised I would meet up with her again. Overall, I'm happy. My girlfriend was getting along with my new friend, even if the start was rather rough. I still owe you a proper outing. I looked at her in the eyes and smiled. I suppose you do. She pursed her lips. I will wait until you resolve this mess. She tiptoed over to me, gently placing her lips to my cheek, being careful not to wake the little fox. I enjoy this side of you, Wilhelm. Playing dad? I chuckled. A small smile rose on her face. The side of you that is willing to lend aid to others, this honorable aspect of yours. I know you appear aloof most of the time, but I enjoy watching you care about others, to be honorable like this. She pushed a few strands of hair behind her ear. Izanami showed me how you lent aid when Kyoto was attacked. Oh, introducing Artoria to the internet. I'm sure that can only end well. I only helped because it was right there. I dismissed. Is there an issue with only helping those you can see that are in trouble? She looked at me. No one is expected to travel the world, to right every wrong in existence, but to see evil committed in front of your eyes and choose to act. That is what makes someone honorable. You know, when you say something like that to me, it just makes it harder for me to let you go. I sighed, feeling a warmness in my heart at her words. It is unfortunate, but other matters require your attention. Yeah, I need to get this little girl home. I gave a wry smile, waving my hand. A new portal formed, linking back to Zelretch's workshop. She gave one last goodbye before turning and walking through the portal, going home. Oh! Her words echoed out right as she was disappearing. I very much would like to hear about how my sword is destroyed from you at a later date. Oof. The venom in her voice was palpable. That is not going to be a fun conversation to have. Even still, why does it always feel so bitter when I have to separate? I made a small resolve to finally finish my home, so I could link up everywhere and not have to deal with this so much. Well, regardless, I readjusted my hold on the little fox. Time to get you back home to Mommy, I whispered, opening a new portal to the surface. Chapter 79. I hummed lightly as I walked towards the estate that Yasaka lived. Her daughter still grabbing onto my tightly, refusing to budge. Her tail swayed gently, and I could feel the vibrations of content, certain sounds that I assumed were because of her being a kitsune. If she were some species of cat, I would assume it was a purr. Even her ears would twitch every so often. So cute. I just wanted to rub those little furry appendages. Really, the only thing stopping me was that I didn't know if that would be considered intimate or not. If it was something meant only for family or lovers, I wouldn't want to start touching tails and ears. As I got close to the compound, the large Japanese-style mansion, I felt something suddenly lock onto me. A powerful pair of eyes practically pierced through the building and refused to leave me. Killing intent oozed out, and I felt whatever it was start moving at me with blinding speed. A very distraught 9-tailed fox practically burst out the front gates, flanked by dozens of guards, all of which appeared to be yokai, but the vast majority looked to be tengu by the wings from their backs. Weapons were drawn. Spells were ready. They were a moments away from initiating battle. Hello, awkward silence. I think this belongs to you. I gestured at the little girl, still held in my arms. I think the guard at the front was about to speak, but Yasaka was already in front of me, grabbing her daughter from my arms. No, Daddy. The little kitsune whined, even as Yasaka pulled her away. But that didn't stop her from giving me a very intense gaze. I held my hands up as if to say I'm innocent. She just ignored me for now, content to worry over her daughter. I saw her cast many spells in that moment, checking on her health and whatnot, but she should be perfectly fine. My baby girl, Mommy is so sorry, Yasaka whispered to the still unconscious kitsune, hugging her tight. I couldn't even get annoyed at the glares I was receiving from this woman. I really have a soft spot for mothers. It took a few more moments before Yasaka calmed down. I have questions. Her gaze landed on me again. I expected as much. I said, I knew this was coming. And I didn't exactly want to get on the bad side of the ruling powers here since I kind of, live here. Escort him to the main hall. I will be taking my daughter to the healers. Yasaka gave out commands as I was suddenly flanked by several tengu. Not that I was taken by surprise or anything, but I admired the speed at which they moved. Then again, tengu are known for being rather fast. It was another awkward silence. I didn't even try to start a conversation or anything. These guys still seemed very on edge. And I couldn't really blame them for that. Just looking around, this place looked like it had been a war zone, which it probably was. Literally parts of the building were collapsed. The inner courtyard was completely destroyed, and I think I saw bodies still being cleaned up. Even as we entered the hall, the place where they greeted guests, the guards merely took positions off to the side as I sat in the center, waiting for something to happen. Yasaka came barging in almost an hour later, barely sparing me a glance as she took up her seat on an elevated little platform overlooking the area. I could tell she was still antsy, most likely still worried about her daughter. I can only assume the fact that nothing was wrong with her is what was keeping her from staying at her side. I mean, I wasn't exactly someone she could ignore at the moment. I brought her daughter back, and she had to get to the bottom of that. How did you come across my daughter? Yasaka's authoritative voice filled the hall. A friend found her and asked for my aid in healing her. I replied, "Who?" She didn't wish to give her name. Yeah, Izzy didn't want to make herself known here, and I didn't mind taking the heat like this for her. Yasaka just narrowed her eyes at me. Explain from the beginning. I just sighed. My friend discovered that some people were going to sacrifice your daughter. Yasaka growled. The floor cracked and the building shook at her immediate rage. Sacrifice my daughter. Her voice was deceptively calm. They needed a similar body to resurrect Tamamonome, to pull her soul from Yomi, then use your daughter's body as material for a new one to be crafted to house the deceased soul. The ritual had already been underway, a hole into Yomi forced open when my friend interfered, stopping it. She sucked in a deep breath, reining in her temper. She turned to the side, snapping her fingers, and a guard popped down from the ceiling. Do we still have those prisoners we captured a few days ago? Yes, Lady Yasaka. The guard bowed. Good. I will be having words with them later. Her icy tone dropped the temperature in the entire room. Her gaze once again turned to me. You said she was involved in a ritual that connected to Yomi. Were there no other issues? I had to seek out someone specifically to heal her. It's why it took so long to get her back to you. I see. Her face betrayed nothing as she swept her gaze around the room. Leave us. I would speak with him in private. One of the guards stepped forward. But Lady Yasaka W. If he wished to harm me, he merely had to kill my daughter. Now leave us, she commanded. They all bowed and disappeared from the room. A couple of them, I had to especially pay attention to notice their presence were now gone. She stood up, walking towards me. I was about to speak until she suddenly enveloped me with her body, my head getting smushed into her rather large chest. Thank you. I could hear the pained way her voice carried. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. She kept repeating. I thought I lost my kunu forever. I couldn't even appreciate my current situation. If it were any other time, I would have most certainly reacted differently. I don't think Voluptuous was even enough to describe this woman. But seeing the tears literally falling down her face, you're a good mother. I just awkwardly pat her back. She let out a self-depreciative laugh, pulling herself back as she wiped away the tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. She finally straightened herself out. To see me like this, it's understandable. I smiled lightly. You were worried for your daughter. She regained her composure after a few more moments and gave a small smile, looking over me again. You look familiar. She tilted her head curiously. Perhaps I have one of those faces. No. She furrowed her brow. I feel like I've seen you before. Her eyes widened slightly. I see. It seems I will have to speak with Seraphal again. Her smile turned into a scowl. Seraphal, as in Seraphal Leviathan, one of 4 Satans that rule over the devils and the one who deals with foreign affairs. I scrunched my eyebrows, a small amount of annoyance on my face. I'm not a part of the devil faction. She looked at me for a moment before realization dawned on her. Well, that makes matters simple then. She seemed happy once again. Regardless, you saved my daughter. I am in your debt. What actually happened, if you don't mind me asking? She frowned slightly. We thought we dealt with those disgusting things. That damn cult. She hissed. We thought we stopped their plans. Then some idiots decided it was a good idea to use the chaos to try and usurp my position. While we were weeding out all the traitors, they contacted the remnants of the cult and worked together to distract us long enough for my kunu to be kidnapped. I see. If my history of this place was correct, Tamamonome should have been more than enough to contend with Yasaka if she were revived. We're the ones plotting rebellion, just hoping that they would take each other out or weaken each other enough that they could finish off any winner. What a shit show. Your help was appreciated as well, she commented. I intended to reach out at some point. She trailed off, and I knew she was understandably distracted by other events. Yeah, it isn't surprising that she knew that I stepped in and dealt with some of those idiots causing issues. Well, I didn't really have any other questions, except, why did Kunu keep calling me Daddy? Yasaka let out a small laugh, covering her face with her sleeve. Her father passed away when she was young. Perhaps one of her only memories was when she was small and was having nightmares. Her father would always come running in when she woke up in the middle of the night, and she would always latch onto him, not allowing him to leave. I see. I guess it dredged up those old memories, and she reacted out of instinct. She hummed to herself. Do you dislike her calling you that? She smiled at me. I do need to reward you. How about I make it official? She bounced her chest, looking at me slyly. You're teasing me. I didn't react. Nice try, I survived Scat Hack. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. She laughed. How about it? All you need to do is ask. I am at your mercy. You saved my daughter. Aha! I hummed noncommittedly. Oh, you're no fun. She huffed. Was this how she coped with the stress, or was it merely in her nature as a fox? The offer was tempting, but well, maybe if this was back before I went to the land of shadows I would have said yes, without hesitation. I think I learned my lesson with Meridia, even if that worked out well. It would just complicate things in my life, and there are no true feelings there beyond physical attraction. Well, a debt owed by the West Yukai leader, I think I'll just keep it in my pocket for now. I stated. Fine, be that way. She pursed her lips. Are you really not going to tell me who else saved my daughter? I sighed, rubbed my temple. Placated. I ran a hand through my hair. She doesn't want to cause any issues, and she doesn't exactly have the best reputation. Do I seem like someone who would bear ill will towards someone who saved my daughter? Izanami, I said bluntly, and her eyes widened, and she almost fell back where she was sitting. She opened her mouth several times, but no words came out. Do you see how it could be perceived if she publicly revealed herself? Are you sure? She stopped herself. Friends. She paused again. Izanami really saved my daughter? Yes, to all of those. I gave a small smile. She also didn't want to potentially fight with her daughter, your patron. Yes, I can see how an issue may arise there. She furrowed her brow. I don't care. Please pass on my words. Next, you see Lady Izanami. She is always welcome in my home, and I would be more than willing to thank her in person. Yasaka snorted, a small frown on her face. I beseeched my patron for 8 days ago, and I was refused. Yet, the most unlikely goddess is the one who answered my prayers. You said there was a third person, a healer you sought out. Yeah, Izanami couldn't do much, because of the deathly energies that were inside Kunu, her being a resident of Yomi herself. So I brought in someone else who cleansed and healed her. I see. And would it be possible for me to express my thanks to this person as well? I can bring her around at some point, I think. She is not a goddess or anything like that, but she doesn't want to reveal her identity publicly. A certain clan in the West, one that is connected to a particular set of holy swords, might be a bother. Holy sword? She looked thoughtful for a moment before realization dawned on her. I see. And I would like to say, regardless of how powerful that particular clan is, they would not be able to act up in my territory as they please. Well, that's a relief. I mean, I'm not scared of them or anything, but an annoyance is an annoyance. Rather just not have to deal with them at all. Yeah, the Pendragon family is particularly powerful for a human clan. Enough that their names are still known worldwide, and the church doesn't just take all their holy weapons for themselves. I couldn't help but let out a long breath. I just keep getting mixed up in more and more nonsense. I should probably distance myself from this whole thing. Well, that should be everything. Unless you have other questions for me. I have a general idea of what happened, and my Kunu is back, perfectly safe and healthy. She smiled towards me again. Are you sure you don't want a reward? This woman is dangerous. Chapter 80. Ha 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 ha. Gods damn it. Ha 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 ha. It's not that funny. It's fucking hilarious. I hate you so much right now. This is the best day. Rah! I threw the washcloth I held in my hand to the ground. She got you good? Fuck me, she did. Honestly, I couldn't even be mad. Annoyed? Sure, but not mad. Who knew Yasaka could be so petty? Well, add in a splash of mischief and here we are. Was it payback for not playing around with her seductions? Honestly, they didn't seem genuine, more so her just messing with me for the hell of it. I looked at myself in the mirror, a bright pink lipstick mark on my forehead, where she gave me a going-away kiss. She fucking cursed me. I threw my hands up. You didn't even notice until we got back. And people were staring at you the whole way. I was preoccupied. Yeah, it seems someone found your weakness. You better watch out in the future. Some voluptuous woman may take advantage of you. I was not distracted by her boobs, even if my face we pressed firmly between them. Nope. Clearly, she's a master at misdirection and took me by surprise. She did something with her Tukian magical energy that cursed the spot she kissed me, making it so I can't wipe it away. Completely harmless, except to my pride. My knowledge of Tuki is minimal. I would need time to unravel what she did. Trying to force my magical energy, it just made it violent and essentially absorbed my mana to strengthen itself. Perhaps I should seek help from an expert. I thought for a moment before tearing open a hole back to Yomi, right onto a familiar doorstep. I didn't even get a chance to knock before Izzy swung the door open, surprised to see me. Yo! Hello, Wilhelm. Her eyes staring right at my current issue. Do I want to know? Yasaka can be mischievous. I shrugged. So what do you know of Tuki? A bit, she answered, stepping away and gesturing forward. Come in. Thank you. I was polite. It was my first time truly visiting. I would say that previous time didn't count as it was more of an emergency. I admit, I did not expect you to willingly come back. She said quietly. Why? Don't play coy. She rolled her eyes. You know why. Nope. I shrugged, plopping down on her couch. You're my friend. I shot her a smile. You can be infuriatingly wholesome sometimes. She sighed. Would you like refreshments? Tea would be lovely. I answered, taking my hat off. Honestly, I miss Japanese tea. Not that I had some English variants, but variety is the spice of life. Do you want, sir? Wiggles to come out? She looked back at me. The way her house was designed, I could see her in the kitchen from the living room. Yes, please. I just smiled, tapping on my hat and sir. Wiggles happily came out to greet the goddess of death. Knowing who she was now, I could understand why she acted the way she did when she first met him. No doubt it was the first time an animal allowed her to touch them in a very long time. He happy joined her in the kitchen, almost reading my thoughts. A few minutes later, she walked out of the kitchen, Rabbit hugged closely, and 2 cups of tea floating right next to her as they slowly set themselves down on the table in front of me. Smells wonderful. I couldn't help but admire the aroma. I picked it up and took a sip, my eyes widening slightly at the taste. Gyukuro? I asked. It was a very expensive tea, though I suppose money doesn't have much value to people like us. How generous. I laughed. She looked away with a small huff, taking a sip of her own. It's not like I have anyone else to make it for. This is nice. I sat back, enjoying the peace. You are in the middle of Yomi. She deadpanned. Honestly, the land of shadows was worse. Somewhat. At least the air here doesn't cut you from being so cold. Do you have a habit of staying in lands of death? Well, I intend to keep visiting you, so maybe. Who said you would have permission to keep coming here? She raised an eyebrow. Who said I need permission? I smirked. Her lips curled up into a small smile. What exactly happened to you? You haven't been gone even a day, and here you are, marked by the fox herself. I rubbed my forehead, frowning slightly. I didn't react to her playing. Who knew she could be petty? That actually explains just about everything. She pursed her lips. I had hoped there would be a more amusing story. What? Hoping you could post something more juicy online. I have no idea what you're talking about. Her face gave nothing away as she took another drink. Aha. I don't believe you. By the way, Yasaka wanted me to pass on my thanks. She says you're welcome in her home whenever you want. Izanami paused, staring at me incredulously. That foolish woman. Does she not realize what could happen by inviting me into her home? The goddess scowled. I have free rein now to come and go whenever I wish. I could simply go there and steal her daughter. Did she never think of that? Are you going to? Of course not. She crossed her arms with a huff. Then why are you even bringing it up? I rolled my eyes. Drama queen. She obviously doesn't think badly of you. Take the goodwill. Stop thinking the worst of yourself. She harumphed, but didn't argue. Do you require help with that curse? I just blinked for a moment. You could tell it was a curse that easily. She rolled her eyes this time. Who do you think I am? Fair. Yeah, I forgot for a moment. Oh, great goddess Izanami. I held my arms out. Please remove this lipstick mark from my forehead. I'm regretting offering my help. Help me, Izanami. You're my only hope. Are you sure? The darkness I wield is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. My eyes widened and I couldn't help but start laughing. I even caught Izzy let out a small giggle at the amusement. Fine, fine. She composed herself. Before you start quoting anything else. She walked up to me, raising her hand. Be aware, though, I do have to push my power into you briefly to dissolve this. It's fine. I smiled at her. I trust you. She paused briefly, her hand shaking slightly. Is that so? She lightly pushed her finger against my forehead, and I felt her invade the area that was cursed, and her power briefly pulsed around my body. Why do you have Odin's blessing? Her tone turned sharp. Reasons. That wrinkled, perverted. She growled. I told him to go away. She huffed, glaring at me. Did he do anything to you? No. Good. Her nostrils flared. I suppose I won't need to castrate him this time, then. Thankfully, I did have a mirror on me to check out the spot. Thanks for the help. Of course. She gave a small smile. I did notice another blessing you had. Meridia's blessing. I nodded. Still don't know how she snuck that in me without noticing. And Drake hadn't been much help. Artoria spoke of her. I did not realize she was a goddess. Izanami seemed deep in thought for a moment. It did not like me. I felt as if it would attack me if I did anything malicious. I guess that's to be expected. She is a goddess of life. I explained. I see, that makes sense. She muttered, though I have never heard of a goddess by that name, and she appeared quite powerful if a mere blessing was that potent. I just shrugged. Yeah, she's pretty great. Would you? She paused. Never mind. Izzy, I said gently. What? Don't what me? I crossed my arms. Finish what you were going to say. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Fine. She scowled. Would you like my blessing too? I would love your blessing. She didn't reply, but took a step forward and quickly placed her lips against my forehead. I felt something warm flow through my body before settling down. There. Thank you. I said sincerely. Whatever. She tried to look uncaring, but I could tell she was happy. How many people had willingly sought out Izanami no Makoto's blessing in the past? It should provide a small bit of warding against evil spirits and deathly powers, among other things. Basically the smallest touch of her authority provided. It made me curious what Odin's blessing did. Even if I did not particularly like receiving it, I still was curious. Not to mention Meridia's. No idea how that is working. Perhaps it's so alien, it's something I can't recognize. I looked up. Her eyes were glowing slightly. I couldn't help but stare for a moment. She just blinked, and they were back to normal. Pretty. I blurted out. Her cheeks turned slightly red. Seeing her act like that just brought a smile to my face. I need to head out. Got a couple things to speak with my grandfather about. I stood up. Would you like me to leave Sir Wiggles here with you? She looked down where the rabbit had taken up residence on her seat. Can I? Of course. Thank you. She mumbled, scooping him up once again and holding him close. I'm glad she gets along well with him. Emotional support rabbit. I walked through a portal back into Zelretch's workshop. Hey, old man. I stopped. He turned around, staring at me, and I stared back. What are you doing? He looked down at his hands. Oh, just dealing with some stuff. I see. I nodded. What requires the use of water balloons? He was filling them up at the faucet. Some brat made a move against Rin. Say no more. I raised my hand. Need help? Why not? He nodded. Can you add this to the ones filled up already? He passed me a small vial. Oh, what's this? I eyed it curiously. You know those dye packs that usually sit inside large stacks of cash for when it gets stolen? I couldn't help but smile. Neat. So I assume it reacts with the water to produce a similar result. Indeed. He smiled. Curious to see who thought it was a good idea to fuck with us. Oh, by the way, I have something I want you to look at. I figured it was something like that. He tied one of the balloons tight. Give me the cliff notes. I wanted to make my house overlap on several world lines, so anyone can come and go there regardless of which world they're in. Oh, ambitious. We loaded the balloons in a bucket. Let's speak more somewhere else. He waved his hand and a new portal opened up. We walked through, and we were on the rooftop of a building I didn't recognize off the top of my head. So what exactly did these idiots do? Tried to strong-arm Rin into some nonsense or another. He stood at the ledge, casting his gaze. They didn't push too far past any lines, but I don't appreciate my apprentice being used in such a way. I see. I muttered. I suppose it doesn't quite warrant a death penalty then. But still, such a thing cannot be allowed without recompense. He nodded along with a smile. Ah, there they are. You see that Rolls-Royce flying down the road? The one ignoring the speed limits. I squinted and reinforced my eyes. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. This is still Clock Tower territory. You want the honors? I asked. Oh, I would be delighted. He picked up one of the balloons, staring for a moment before reeling his arm back and throwing it with impressive power. The balloon didn't pop until it collided with the car's windshield and splattered into a sticky blue liquid that covered their vision. The car swerved a few times across the empty street before slamming into a light pole. What issues are you having with your little project? He asked, staring at his handiwork. Not so much an issue, but I wanted a second opinion before I took the next step. I took out my notebook and handed it to him. I would rather not waste resources if it won't work, and this is just a fun project at the moment. He flipped it open, stroking his beard for a few moments. I see your train of thought. He flexed his fingers and grabbed a pen from the air, writing a few things here and there. Your turn, by the way. Oh, right. I nodded, picking up my own balloon. I reinforced the outer layer so it wouldn't pop with the velocity I would be throwing it with. I closed one eye to get a good idea of the distance, and with a shutter step, I threw it as hard as I could. The red balloon soared through the air as a man wobbly stepped out of the car. It collided with his head, knocking him off his feet and completely covering him in the blue dye. Good hit. Thanks. I smiled brightly. So thoughts? I like it. He inspected a few more pages. I'm glad you're also enjoying your time. He started writing a few more things. Ah, I believe you missed a step here. Honestly, it's an easily forgettable step. He circled something with a red marker. Geez, feels like I'm being graded back in school. Ha! He abruptly stopped and let out a laugh. What? I looked at him in confusion. I just remembered, you technically didn't finish high school. Oh, fuck me. I face-bombed. Rin will never let me live this down. Zelretch cackled, grabbing another balloon. Oh, look, more targets. Seems there are a few more for each of us. Yeah, a few more got out of the car and were trying to either help the other man up or search around for attackers. Honestly, we were a surprising distance away for tossing water balloons. Want to see who gets the best hit? I asked. Loser buys dinner? You're on, old man.